Today, we have a very special guest, Mr. Errol. Mr. Errol, he is a trainer, a singer, and a founder of UAE's most recognized event management company called Pure Magic Exhibitions Conference Organizing. He set up the company with his team in 2005, and since then, there's no looking back. Today, he might be sharing some experiences of his journey. So we welcome Mr. Errol.
Thank you so much. And hey, guys, I'm so glad to see you once again. Thank you, Pramit, for this opportunity to be here presenting to all of you. And thanks for the lovely introduction. So I would like to get started and share with you what Pramit has invited me to speak about, and that is personality and leadership. What's the connection? Whether there is a connection or not, we're going to establish it as we move on. So just to add on to what Pramit shared, I've been in the UAE for the last 21 years. I came here in 1998. I'm from Mumbai, India, and it's been an amazing journey. Before running my company for the last 15 years, I was, of course, working in various roles in different organizations, mainly in the hotel industry and the hospitality industry and the airline industry before I moved on. And what I intend to share with you as we progress in my little presentation is actually experiences that I have learned along the way that I believe has shaped my own personality, whether good, bad, or still in development. But whatever experiences I have gained over these years, working with different bosses, with different leaders, learning from them, watching them, observing them, that I believe has shaped my personality today. And I'm so happy to come here in front of you and actually share with you, those exact tips and things that have helped me move my life. So the first thing I want you to see on your screen is this amazing quote, which says, "Great leaders don't set out to be leaders. They set out to make a difference. It's never about the role. It's always about the goal." So this is a quote by Lisa Haisha. Now, I believe this quote is a great start to what we're going to discuss, because we have to understand where this comes from. Because most people you will see who are successful leaders in life never decided one day that, okay, I'm going to be a leader. They just had a goal, they had a vision, they had a dream, and then they just wanted to pursue that goal and that dream. And as they started getting excited about that goal, as they started getting excited about that dream, they started taking the buy-in of people around them. A team member joins, another team member joins, another team member joins. And then that leader, that person shares the dream, shares the goal, shares the excitement with his team. And as that team starts ballooning and snowballing, and that's when soon he or she becomes a leader. Now, what I want to do is share with you in this presentation a couple of attributes I believe are very, very strong and strongly needed to develop a personality as a leader. Before I continue, I must tell you, everyone who's watching right now has leadership traits. That's a given. There's nobody who's not born with the traits of being a leader. And you'll say, not me, I don't think I can lead. No, that's not true. You can, because you see, leaders are not born, they are made. So you have to understand that leadership is a cumulative of your experiences. It's how you take those experiences and you put them to work over a period of time that develops your personality into being a leader. So you'll realize that anybody, even if you've never had a leadership role in your life, you can still one day be a true leader, because all you need to do is decide to start today and decide to follow these 5 or 6 simple steps I'm going to share with you, and you'll already begin your process towards becoming a leader. So if you're excited like I am, let's get started straight away. So the first thing that you need to be a leader is you've got to be a learner. Now, this is a very, very important aspect. And without this key aspect, and that's why I needed to put it number 1 on my list. The first thing on my list is a leader is a learner. If you are not able to be a learner, a lifelong learner and a great listener, okay, you can never achieve the first tick of leadership. Now, let me Let me back that up with a story. I hope you guys like stories. Most of my stories, or one or two that I share with you, have got a lot to do with my own experiences. So while I was doing running my business, I was also engaged in direct selling with a very well-known company, and we used to attend all these amazing, huge conferences and grand conferences, and one such conference I was attending had around 8 or 10,000 people in that conference, and we were all sitting down and we were listening to the founder of the company, who's a very accomplished individual, an author, a business leader. He moves around with the presidents of countries. He's a very well-known and established human being, a very successful multi-billionaire. And what he was doing was, like he does every day around 1 o'clock in the night, that's how long the session would go on. He was sitting down and he was doing a Q&A with 8 to 10,000 people in that stadium. So people were sending questions to him and he was trying to answer these questions. And while I was listening to him answer those questions, I was like, wow, this guy has so much knowledge, because every question that came across to him was being answered point blank, to the point, hitting the nail on the head. And my God, amazing. So I was like, how does he do this? I mean, he's a mentor to around 8,000, 10,000 people in that stadium, and maybe 100,000 more around the world. But who is his mentor? Who teaches him? So I wrote a question and I sent it across, hoping that it would get picked among all the other 10,000 people writing questions. And to my good luck, my question got picked. And my question was, if you are a mentor to a lot of us, who is your mentor? And his answer was amazing. He said, my mentors are Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, Swami Vivekanand, sorry, and all the top, the best leaders of the world. I was like, how? I mean, they're not alive. How do they mentor you? And he said, very simple. He said, they mentor me through their words of wisdom that they have left behind as a legacy. I read their books, and when I read their books, I learn from their leadership styles. I learn from their methodology, and that inspires me to keep moving. That inspires me to apply in my daily work. And I was like, wow. So anybody can have a mentor. Even if you don't have a mentor, a book written by a successful leader can be a mentorship model to you. And that was a learning I never forgot. So you've got to understand that how important it is to be a learner. That human being who's a multi-millionaire standing there in front of 10,000 people, all riveted listening to him, says, even I learned today. Even I read a book, and even I study on a daily basis. And that was a learning for me. So here's how you learn. First thing is you got to observe and learn. You watch things around you. Now, you got to be a coach. When you see in a football match, you see the coach on the sidelines. So he's in the game, but he's not in the game. He's watching how it's being played, and he's able to see through his observations what's right and what's wrong and what's going on. So you observe and learn. The situation we are in currently with COVID-19, okay, you could sit down and be depressed and stressed, or you can step back and you can observe what's happening around you, and you can say, wow, there's a lot for me to learn. There's a lot for me to upgrade my skills on. There's a lot for me to apply. So observe what's happening around you, in the world around you, with people around you, and learn from them. Second thing is, of course, you read and learn. There are so many books that have been written. Never stop reading. As you continue reading, and more and more and more and more, you will realize that your own development as a personality, as a leader, is starting to show. Your language changes, the way you carry yourself changes. If you apply what you learn, your whole behavior changes. The third thing is, you got to listen and learn. So when you attend webinars, when you attend training programs, when you're sitting and listening to people talk, when you're sitting and listening to somebody share something, you got to learn about them, and you got to learn about what they're saying. Don't be indifferent to people who are trying to share with you. So here comes my fourth point. Position myself to learn. Now, this is a very, very important thing that we don't pay attention to. Let me explain what I mean by that. When you say position myself to learn, when somebody corrects you, when somebody gives you a suggestion, how do you respond? Do you respond immediately with saying, yeah, I knew that, I know that, I've done it before? When you do that, what have you done? You've immediately stopped that person from sharing with you. They've said, oh, this is a know-it-all. This person knows everything. I might as well not share anything with this person. It's better I keep quiet. But let me tell you, my friends who are listening in, that your critics or the people who are watching you and helping you and correcting you are your biggest mentors, because they are the only ones who have the courage, the guts to tell you where you're going wrong. So you must position yourself to learn. You must be an open book. People should be able to come and tell you, hey, you know what? This is what I think you've done wrong. And you should be able to say, hey, thank you for that. Don't justify, don't jump in and say, no, 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 but I did it because of this. Just say, thank you so much. You've been very helpful in sharing that information with me. It'll go a long way. So the first thing, be a learner for life. If you're a leader, must be a lifelong learner and a great listener. That comes to my second point, the second attribute of a strong personality in leadership. And that is, my friends, empathy. Okay. Now you'll wonder, what has empathy got to do with this? Empathy is very, very crucial, because when you lead a team, if you don't care for your people, if you don't have compassion and genuine care, then you cannot move a team. Your team will not be connected to you. They'll not be loyal to you. So you have to develop that skill of being empathetic, of being sympathetic. So let me explain, what does that mean? So first of all, you got to have a watchful eye. When you're with a group of people and you're watching them, you got to pay attention to see if somebody is hurting, if somebody has a problem, if somebody is not delivering to their 100%, then you've noticed that there's something wrong here with this human being. Let me jump in and find out what's happening and why that person is not able to deliver 100%. So here comes my second point. When you sit down with that person, make sure you give a caring ear. Make sure you listen carefully to what they have to say. And when you do that, do it from your heart. Not because you want to immediately correct them or fix their problem or tell them what to do. But do it because you just want to listen to them. And you will realize that when you do that, when they just let go of their problems and their challenges, and they find in you an empathetic leader, they will always follow you. They will always say, this is somebody I can connect with, I can talk to, I can come and share my problems with, and I will get good advice. Now, you may be able to give advice or not give advice, doesn't matter. But just the fact that they can approach you and that you are approachable as a human being, as a leader, makes a huge difference in you building a relationship with your team member. Let me share with you very quickly a story here that I'll never forget. In my last job, I used to work with an airline called Oman Air, and I had an absolutely amazing, wonderful human being, a lovely boss who was a lady, and she was an amazing leader, and I really looked up to her. I remember one day she had to go to Oman to present at a very large conference where, you know, all reports for the whole year were going to be done. I used to work in marketing, so I had sat down for like 3 nights working very hard on building marketing reports and all the statistics and figures and all that. And just the morning before she could go, I left it on her desk. She took it and she flew to Oman. Now just imagine, she went to Oman, and while she was there and she was presenting those reports, what I did not know is that I had made a couple of very, very big blunders in some of the statistics that I had put into that report. And when she presented that report, everybody just, sort of shot her down and saying, this information is rubbish. This report's of no use. And she came back again and she called me to her office and she said, Errol, I want to speak to you. Can you please come to my office? And I was like, when I heard this, I was scared. I thought, that's it. I've lost my job because I've made a big blunder. And because of this big blunder, this poor lady has to face, senior management's ire, and they're all looking at her and saying, how could you be so foolish and pick up these figures without checking? So it was, I was really scared when I walked into her office. She sat me down. She gave me all the copies, and she said, "Here you go. I hope you know that you had made a very, very big mistake that changed all our figures." And I said, "Yes, ma'am. I'm so sorry." She said, "It's okay. We made that mistake. It's all right. We made that mistake. Don't worry about it. Redo the figures. We'll send it across to them. I've already told them we'll send them a corrected version. So don't worry about it. Go back to work. I'm so happy you worked so hard. I know you were stressed out. You did a great job." And I was so relieved. My face, was bloodshot again. I was like, my God, I nearly thought I would lose my job there. But because of an understanding leader who understood that I was working very hard and I have made a small mistake, and she understood that mistakes can be made by human beings, I went on to worked there for 8 long years and was marketing manager before I left Oman Air. So this is an example I want to share with you because it's never left me. It's never left my life. It happened to me maybe 10 or 12 years ago, but I've never forgotten how an empathetic leader has helped me develop my personality. Let me go on to my next and third point, which is attitude. Now, attitude is an amazing word. Many people can take it in a negative way, in a positive way. But obviously, all of you know exactly what attitude I am talking about. What I'm talking about is a can-do attitude or a positive attitude, because that will keep your team motivated. If you say, you know what, don't worry guys, whatever happens, forget about everything that's happening around us, let's be positive. Because your team is like a sponge. They're looking for energy from you. So if you can give them that positive attitude, that energy that keeps them going, they will pick up on that and they will run with it, and then they will feed it back to you. So it's amazing. There's that whole energy exchange happening between a leader and his team, his or her team. So it's very important that a leader has to make sure that they're always having a positive attitude. Now, how do you build a positive attitude? First thing is you need to have a vision. So if you have a vision, whether it's a project vision, whether it's a vision connected to a project, I know we have a lot of freelancers here. You're working in a project and you know that my vision in this project is I have to get these things done by so and so time. No problem. So you have to know always which direction you need to lead your team. When you have that vision and it's clear, anything goes wrong, you can always bring it back on track and say, hey, forget about it, happened, let's not worry about it, let's just get back on track and have that positive attitude to continue. Second thing is you need to have ambition. Okay, a leader must have the ambition to think big, and you got to power dreams. Because if you can think big, as a leaders always think big. I mean, great things have been done by leaders around the world who have the ability to think big. Great things have been done, whether it's a Nelson Mandela, whether it's a Mahatma Gandhi, or whether it's a Barack Obama, or anybody who you've seen who's achieved great success in life, is because they had the vision to go ahead and do that, the ambition to think big and say, this is possible, I have a dream, and I can take on my team's dream, I can empower them with my dream, and I can move them forward. So second thing was ambition. Third thing is adaptability. Now this is very important to understand. Challenges like the challenge we are in right now at this point of time can occur anytime in our career as leaders. Are you having the capability to adapt? Can you pivot? Can you make changes? Can you take a step back and say, hey, this is not the end of everything. I am who I am. My team has amazing skills. I know who they are. Can we work together? Can we adapt? Can we do something else? Can we move ahead? So that is the third thing. If you have this attitude or these three concepts in your positive attitude, you can really, really drive an amazing team. That comes to my next point, and that is decision making. Right? Now, here's something that every leader can either do right or wrong, and it's up to you how you can build your skills to make those decisions, because a team is always looking to the leader to make that crucial decision. Right or wrong doesn't matter, but you've got to be able to take that decision fast. So develop your skills on decision making. How do you do that? Very simple. First, communicate effectively. Listen to each of your team members' opinions. Doesn't mean you have to follow them. Listen to them first, at least. Understand from them. Okay, what do you think about this problem? What do you think about this challenge? Let's talk about it. So you communicate effectively and get an answer from them. Second thing is you evaluate all the options that your team has placed in front of you. You evaluate it. You say, okay, you said this, you said this, you said this. Okay, this is what I'm going to decide on. Let's take a decision, and then you make that decision. But the third and the most important thing, and don't ever forget this, it is you've got to take 100% responsibility if that decision fails. Going back to an amazing story that was shared by the past president of India, when they were doing a satellite launch, and he was talking about that story. You can go and look it up on YouTube. It's an amazing story of how when the rocket crashed and it failed, his immediate team leader went out to the press and took 100% ownership, said, you know what, it's my fault, we messed up, we've lost the country millions of rupees, but it's all my fault, and I believe we can do this again. So leave it to us. I have an amazing team. We will do it again. But the second time around, when this mission was successful, the leader did not even go up. He pushed his team to take the credit and said, you know what? It's not me who's done this. It's my team. They are the ones who really achieved that level of success. So always remember, as a leader, You make that decision after you talk to your entire team, but if that decision fails, it's always and always your responsibility, and learn to take it. Never put the blame on your team member. Never. Because if you do that, they will stop communicating with you. They will stop sharing their ideas with you, and you don't want that, because you're not a superhuman being and you can't have all the ideas in your life. You need your team there to bounce off ideas and mirror your ideas. Here comes my next point, guys, and that is empower. Now, what do I mean by empower? See, as a leader, you have to constantly work on developing a second line of leadership, because you cannot be alive forever. You cannot be running that department or that team forever. So you have to always look at building a second line of leadership. How do you do that? So first thing is, you got to empower your team. You've got to empower them to take on roles. Tell them, you can do it. Don't worry. I believe in you. So empower your team members to take on new roles, new challenges, new projects. Empower them. Give them that power that they require to move ahead. Second thing is, encourage them. It's okay if they fail, they don't fail. Encourage them to make the decisions. Encourage them to take the decisions, like Elham did for me in Oman. And she said, don't worry, we messed up, but we can fix it. Just go ahead, you continue working, and we'll make sure we succeed. And the third thing is, educate your team. Invest in educating your team. Share with them the best practices, because a lot of leaders believe, oh, you know what, only I can do this right. But if it's always going to be you doing it right, then where are you building your system? You will always have to be the most important cog or the most important gear in your organization. And that's not the way to run an organization. You've got to build a system. You've got to empower your team. And how can you empower somebody that you've not spent time in educating first? Because if you empower them to take on a senior role, but they're not educated enough, you're not invested in educating them, whether you're educating them one-on-one with all the ideas, tips, tricks, teaching them, hand-holding them, working with them, going for meetings with them, coaching them how it is done, or you're sending them to a course that they could attend or a program they can be a part of, but invest in educating your team. So these three things, these three E's are very vital to empowering your team. Empower, encourage, educate. That comes to my next point, and that is recognize. And this is one of my last and the most important points I would like to share with you, and that is recognition. Guys, gratification. A person receives a word of thanks in gratitude, a recognition or a reward can actually make them go for miles and miles and miles. You must always learn how to appreciate the hard work put in by your team members. And that's a very important trait of a leader. Because everything cannot be done by you. So if your team is going to be doing things that can help the whole team move ahead, then recognize that effort. Recognize it, whether it's a small effort or a large effort, appreciate it, say thank you, great job done. I truly appreciate what you've done, amazing. You can do even more, I can believe in you. All these words will go a very, very long way in encouraging your team. So recognition and boosting your team's morale is very, very vital for your organization, your growth, your team's growth. So first of all, whenever you can, shower praise on people who achieve things. When you do that, when you shower praise on people who achieve things, it also motivates those around who say, I want to be in that place, I want to be appreciated, so next time I'm going to work harder. The second thing you want to do is you want to reward wherever possible. Monetary rewards, gifts, take them out for lunch, for dinner, spend time on them. I mean, it's amazing, and I have a few of my team members on this call, and they'll tell you, we did really well in 2019, and we decided to surprise the entire team. We are around 20 of us, and we said, you know what, let's give them a Christmas surprise. So we surprised the entire team, and we took the entire Pure Magic team on a 2-day holiday to Georgia. We had a blast. We really enjoyed ourselves. It's rewarding not only for us, but it was rewarding for the entire team, because many of them had never seen snow before. It was an amazing experience. I'm sure, if they had to go back and remember, in their lives, where was the first time you saw snow? Oh, I saw it while being a part of Pure Magic on our trip to Georgia. It's something that they never forget. But it also helped me hold my team together, and we're so close. We're like a family. I'm blessed to have a most amazing team. We're like a family, and that is because we believe in recognition. We believe in rewards. We believe in celebrating birthdays together. We believe in celebrating anniversaries together, because these things make a big difference. Always, you've got to learn how to say thank you to your team. So guys, 6 points, very simple. If you allow me to summarize them very, very quickly, once again, right in front of your screens, let's summarize. That's my team, you can see there. The first point, most important point, is you've got to be a learner. L, always be a learner. Okay. The second thing is you got to learn how to empathize. You got to understand your team. You got to feel for them. You got to connect from your heart and consider them as one of your family members, because that's more important than anything else. Because when they feel like they're one of your family, then they work with heart and soul. Third thing, always have a positive attitude. Build your team, encourage them, empower them, work with them, show them your vision, say, don't worry, whatever challenges face us, we will adapt, we will pivot, let's do something new, because I believe in you, I believe in your skills. Third thing is, take those crucial decisions. Your team depends on you making those decisions. Listen to them, ask them for their opinions, take their opinions, consider their opinions, go in deeper with their opinions, and then, but final decisions always lies with the leader. And when you take that decision, also take the ownership, that if it fails, you will take ownership and not blame your team for it. The fifth point is empower your team. Encourage them, build a second line of leadership. Make sure that you're pushing your team members ahead, so that you don't have to keep doing this for the rest of your life, but you're helping leaders grow from within your organization, from within your team, because that's the most important thing. A leader is one who makes others a leader. So you have to learn how to make others a leader, because that's what a leader does. And the final thing is to recognize, to reward, and to make sure you say thank you to all those who have worked hard to build what you're building. So there you go, friends. 6 simple points that you can all remember. If you've not made a note, make a note of it very, very quickly. You can take a screenshot. Learn. You've got to be a learner. You've got to empathize. You've got to have a positive attitude. Make those quick decisions. Empower your team member and recognize them. And that's all it takes to build the amazing personality of leadership. All of us are constantly in a mode of building our personalities, and all of us have it in us to be leaders, because all these things I shared with you can be learned on the way. You don't have to be born with it. You can learn it. You can develop your skills towards it. So thank you so much for watching. I hope I was able to share enough knowledge with you. I would like to end with this amazing quote of John C. Maxwell that has sort of inspired me all these years. I never forgot it from the time I heard it more than 25 years ago. And that is, a leader is one who knows the way. So you've educated yourself, you've learned the way. Who goes the way. So you got to show by your own example. You don't be the one ordering, but the one doing it. And then he shows the way, he leads his team through and through with it. So thanks for watching, guys. On screen in front of you are all my social media handles and my email address. If you'd like to stay in touch with me, please do follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. I would love to connect with you guys. Also follow our company handles. We would love to, be in touch with you. And thank you once again for this opportunity of sharing this evening with you. Thanks so much.